The camera panned across a restless crowd, flashes from a dozen cameras painting the room in white bursts of anticipation. A low hum of voices filled the space. But the second Michael B. Jordan stepped onto the stage, it all collapsed into silence. He walked with calm confidence, dressed in a black jacket, a quiet smile playing on his face. The moderator gave him the floor, but he didn't speak right away. He just stood there, watching them watch him. Then, leaning slightly into the mic, he said, "I've got something for you." No one blinked. "I've been working on something behind the scenes. It's a story I've wanted to tell for a long time. A story about drive, about grit, about how the game changes you. But more than that, how you change because of the game." He let the silence stretch before dropping the real bomb. "I'm announcing a new film. It's about basketball. Yeah, but it's also about obsession, sacrifice, redemption. And I'm not just producing it. I'm the lead." The room exploded in sound, gasps, applause, questions. Michael raised a hand, bringing them down again. "We've got a cast that'll blow your mind. I'm talking top-tier talent, people I've always wanted to work with. And we've got a director. No, I can't say the name yet, but trust me, it's someone who knows how to turn stories into legends." The air grew thick with curiosity. Murmurs swept through the crowd. Who was it? What kind of film would this be? But Michael didn't answer those yet. He just smiled, his eyes gleaming with that familiar mix of confidence and mystery. "There's more, a lot more, but you'll have to wait. Trust me, it's worth it. We're doing something big. Something nobody's expecting." He stepped back from the mic for a moment, the stage lights catching the sharp lines of his face. Then he leaned in again, quieter now, like he was letting them in on a secret. "This story, it's personal, and if you stick around, I promise, it'll hit you harder than you think." And with that, he gave one last look to the crowd and walked off stage, leaving only the echo of what he'd said and what he hadn't. The second Michael B. Jordan stepped off the stage. The room detonated with noise, reporters yelling over one another, fans on live streams screaming into their phones. Hashtags already trending within seconds. He hadn't made it past the backstage curtain before a voice cut through the chaos. "Michael, when's it coming out?" There was a ripple in the crowd, everyone freezing in anticipation as he turned back around. The smile never left his face. He took a slow breath, then stepped back into the light, one foot into the storm of attention. 2026, he said. "Mark it down. That's all I can say right now. But keep your calendars open. It's going to be worth every second of the wait." That one word, 2026, ignited a second wave of reaction. Some groaned at the wait, others cheered, but all of them knew something massive was building. Journalists shoved microphones forward like weapons, influencers whispered theories to their phones, and on social media, the story took on a life of its own. Michael B. Jordan, basketball, mystery director, 2026. And yet, the mystery only deepened. The press conference continued in a different room, a more intimate setting, but the atmosphere was no less electric. Michael took a seat in front of a smaller group of selected media. Cameras were rolling, microphones live. One journalist leaned forward, notebook already filled with frantic scribbles. "You mentioned a killer cast. Can you drop some names?" Michael looked at him, expression unreadable. "Can't give you everything," he said, tapping the table. "But I'll tell you this. There's one actor I've dreamed of working with since I first got into this business. Someone who brings gravity to the screen just by breathing. And somehow we got him." The room leaned forward, as if physically drawn to the next sentence. "Leonardo DiCaprio," Michael said. Then silence. No one breathed. It was as if time cracked for a moment. Then came the eruption, shouts, disbelief, laughter of shock, people asking each other if they'd heard right. Michael just sat there, letting the reaction wash over him. "You're not kidding," one reporter finally managed. "DiCaprio? In a basketball film." Michael's voice dropped low. "It's not just a basketball film. That's what people think at first. But it's more than that. It's about what drives men to compete, to destroy themselves for something they love. Leo's playing a mentor, a fallen legend, a man with ghosts." The weight of that hung in the air. He continued, "We needed someone who could bring history with him. Someone who makes you believe he's lived through the highs and the lows." Leo read the script once and said yes. No notes. Just, "I'm in." The reporters were scribbling like mad. Social feeds were already filling with mock posters. Jordan and DiCaprio, shoulder to shoulder, half lit in shadow. A basketball court empty behind them. A storm overhead. Then someone asked the obvious. "You said legendary director, but you didn't give a name. Can you confirm or hint at anything?" Michael smiled, but this time it was different. A flicker of mischief. "Can't tell you that yet," he said. "Contract stuff. Secrecy. You know how it is. But let me put it this way. When the name drops, it's going to break the internet. This isn't someone who takes just any project." He turned down 4 major studios before he said yes to this. A hush settled over the room again. Now it wasn't just excitement, it was something deeper. Anticipation laced with obsession. People were already running through the list in their heads. Spielberg? Nolan? Villeneuve? Someone even whispered Scorsese, and that whisper echoed like prophecy. Michael leaned back in his chair, letting the weight of what he'd revealed simmer in the silence. "Look," he said finally, "I know I dropped a lot, but this is only the surface. We're not just making a movie. We're building a world. Every shot, every line, every beat, it's all intentional. We want you to feel the sweat, the fear, the pressure, the love. We want you to walk out of the theater questioning everything you thought you knew about winning." Reporters exchanged glances. No one wanted to be the first to break the moment. Then a voice from the back, hesitant. "Why now? Why this film?" Michael paused, then looked up. "Because I've lived it," he said simply. "Not all of it, but enough to know the pain behind the smiles. Enough to know what it means to wake up at 5 a.m. and train until your body screams. To get told no, to lose, to keep pushing anyway. That's not just basketball. That's life. And maybe now's the right time to show that, raw and honest. No filters." He stood then, slowly, deliberately. "We've all seen the glamour, the buzzer beaters, the trophies. But what about the silence after the game? What about when no one's watching?" The room stayed quiet. Something shifted. This wasn't just a celebrity film announcement anymore. It was beginning to feel like something heavier. A storm on the horizon, building slowly. The kind that didn't just entertain, but hit. A film that didn't let go. Michael walked to the door, but before he left, he turned once more. 2026, he said again. "Keep your eyes open. The story's just starting." And just like that, he was gone, leaving a trail of stunned silence, blinking cameras, and 1,000 new questions no one yet knew how to answer. The questions kept coming, one after another, voices stacked on the center of the media frenzy, calm, collected, his presence magnetic. He raised a hand slightly, and the room fell into a stunned hush again, as if they all sensed something else was coming, something big. He took a slow step toward the microphone, his tone shifting from playful to serious, anchoring the room. "Let me give you one more thing," he said, voice steady, eyes locked on the crowd. "We're shooting the entire film right here in America." A pause. It seemed simple at first, but the way he said it, the gravity in his voice, made it feel monumental. "We're filming in the heart of cities that built basketball from the ground up," he continued. "Chicago, Philly, New York, LA, places where courts are carved into concrete and legends rise without the world even noticing. We're going to the real places. Not polished sets, not backlots. Real sweat, real stories, real air. That changed everything. This wasn't going to be a glossy Hollywood fantasy. It was going to be grounded, alive, breathing in asphalt and rust and memory." Then he added the next part, eyes gleaming like he'd been waiting to say it. "And we're not holding back. The budget on this film is massive. I'm talking one of the biggest sports drama budgets ever approved. Because we're not making a cute story. We're making an epic." There was a stunned murmur through the room. "We've got multi-location setups, some of the best cinematographers in the game, a score that's already being developed by names, and an original soundtrack with artists that'll drop jaws when the lineup's released. We're building arenas. We're recreating games. We're doing it right." It wasn't arrogance. There was something deeper in his tone. A conviction, like this wasn't just a movie to him. It was a mission. "I've seen too many stories about the game that only scratch the surface," he said. "This one goes all the way down. Into the guts of what it costs to win. Into the stuff people don't post about. The sacrifices, the doubt, the loneliness, the obsession. We're not sugarcoating it." The crowd was locked in. No one daring to glance away, no one checking their phones. Every eye on him, every breath held. Then he leaned forward slightly, his voice dropping just enough to make everyone lean in with him. "We've got one shot at this. One chance to tell it like it really is. That's why we're doing it right. With the best. With the truth. That's what this film is." And then, just like that, he stepped back, signaling the end. The host came back on stage, smiling nervously like he'd just witnessed something bigger than expected. "That's all the time we have today, everyone. Thank you for coming." But before the host could finish, a hand shot up from the audience. A younger journalist, clearly nervous, but burning with curiosity. "Wait, just one last question," she said, a little breathless. Michael paused, turned, and smiled. "Yeah. Do you actually play?" she asked, and there was an audible ripple of amusement in the room. "I mean, do you actually play basketball?" A moment passed, and then Michael chuckled softly, stepping forward again, and when he spoke, the room leaned into his answer as if it mattered more than it should have. "I don't just act it," he said. "I've been playing since I was a kid. Grew up with the ball in my hands. Played on courts with chain nets, broken backboards. I was in youth leagues, travel tournaments, summer camps where it was 98 degrees and no one left the court. I know what it feels like to win by one, to lose by a buzzer, to have nothing but the sound of the ball echoing in an empty gym after everyone's gone." He wasn't performing anymore. This was real. Honest. The crowd felt it. I'm not saying I was going pro, but I was in it, and I never left it behind. So yeah, I can play. And yeah, I trained for this film. Not just to look good, to be good. I owe it to the story, to the people who live this every day. This isn't a role for me. It's a return to something that shaped who I am. The room was utterly silent. It was like someone had pressed pause on the world, and all that remained was that single, resonant note in his voice. Then he smiled, that same cool smile from earlier, but now it carried more weight, more history, more soul. "So, yeah," he added with a wink, "I can hoop." Laughter bubbled through the room, genuine, electric, and it didn't break the tension but added to it, gave it humanity. Michael nodded one final time. "That's all for today, but keep watching. The story's only getting started." He turned, walked off stage without looking back, his figure disappearing behind the curtain just as a new storm of speculation began to rise behind him. People shouted questions after him, reaching, guessing, dissecting every word, every pause, every cryptic promise. But he didn't stop. He'd said what he needed to say. And what he left unsaid, what he left hanging in the air like static, was even more powerful. The film didn't even have a trailer yet. No poster, no teaser, just a promise. And somehow, that was enough to set the whole world on fire.